With this coin, I'm covering the Philippines 1985 1 peso large type. On the odd burst is the head of Dr. Jose Protacio Rizal Mercado. Now, he was born 1861 to 1896. He was an ophthalmologist and a polymath, a naturalist, writer, and thinker. During the tail end of the Spanish colonial period of the Philippines, he is considered as a national hero. An ophthalmologist by profession, Rizal became a writer and a key member of the Filipino propaganda movement, which advocated political reforms of the colony under Spain. He was executed by the Spanish colonial government for the crime of rebellion after the Philippine Revolution, inspired in part of his writings that broke out. Though he was not actively involved in the planning or conduct, he ultimately approved of its goal, which eventually led to Philippine independence. He is widely considered one of the greatest heroes of the Philippines, and has been recommended to be so honored by an officially impaneled National Heroes Committee. However, no law, executive order, or proclamation has been enacted or issued officially proclaiming any Filipino historical figure as a national hero. He was the author of 2 novels and wrote a number of poems and essays. He was also a Freemason during Acadia Lodge No. 9, during this time in Spain, and becoming a Master Mason in 1884. The core of his writing centers on liberal and progressive ideas on individual rights and freedom, specifically rights for the Filipino people, or that eventually brought his life to an end. In his writings, he stated that the Philippines be made a province of Spain. The Philippines was a province of New Spain, now Mexico, administered from Mexico City from 1565 to 1821. From 1821 to 1898, it was administered directly from Spain. Now, he also stated representation in the Cortes. He wanted Filipino priests instead of Spanish friars. He also wanted freedom of assembly and speech, equal rights before the law for both Filipino and Spanish plaintiffs. Yet, the colonial authorities in the Philippines did not favor these reforms, which eventually placed him in front of the firing squad December 30th, 1896, at the age of 35.
My Last Farewell is Rizal's 14-verse valedictory written shortly before he was put to death. It expresses love, unfathomable grief, and shows a man with unwavering convictions. His words honored his homeland, our Eden lost, the lost culture of pre-Hispanic Philippines, his parents and friends, and points to the injustices he had witnessed at the hands of colonial masters.
My last farewell. Farewell, dear fatherland, clime of the sun caressed pearl of the Orient seas, our Eden lost. Gladly now I go to give you this faded life's best. And were it brighter, fresher, or more blessed, still would I give it thee, nor count the cost. I die without seeing the dawn brighten over my native land. You who have it to see, welcome it, and forget not those who have fallen during the night. And if color is lacking, my blood you shall take, poured out at need for thy dear sake. To die with its crimson the waking ray. My dreams, when life first opened to me, my dreams, when the hopes of youth beat high, were to see thy loved face, O gem of the Orient Sea, from gloom and grief, from care and sorrow free, no blush on thy brow, no tear in thine eye. Dream of my life, my living and burning desire, all hail. Christ the soul that is now to take flight, all hail. And sweet it is for thee to expire, to die for your sake, that you may aspire, and sleep in thy bosom eternity's long night. If over my grave some day you see grow, in the grassy sod, a humble flower, draw it to thy lips and kiss my soul so, while I may feel on my brow in the cold tomb below, the touch of thy tenderness, thy breath's warm power. Let the moon beam over me soft and serene, let the dawn shed over me its radiant flashes, let the wind with sad lament over me keen, and if on my cross a bird should be seen, let it trill there its hymn of peace to my ashes. Let the sun draw the vapors up to the sky, and heavenward in purity bear my tardy protest. Let some kind soul over my untimely fate sigh, and in the still evening a prayer be lifted on high, from thee, O my country, that in God I may rest. Pray for all those that hapless have died, for all who have suffered the unmeasured pain, for our mothers that bitterly their woes have cried, for widows and orphans, for captives by torture tried. And then for thyself that redemption thou mayst gain. And when the dark night wraps the graveyard around, with only the dead in their vigil to see, break not my repose or the mystery profound, and perchance you may hear a sad hymn resound. It is I, O my country, raising a song unto thee. And even my grave is remembered no more, unmarked by never a cross nor a stone. Let the plough sweep through it, the spade turn it over, that my ashes may carpet earthly floor, before into nothingness at last they are blown. Then will oblivion bring to me no care, as over your valleys and plains I sweep, throbbing and cleansed in new space and air, with color and light, with song and lament I fare, ever repeating the faith that I keep. My fatherland adored, that sadness to my sorrow lends, beloved Filipinas, hear now my last goodbye. I give you all, parents and kindred and friends. I go where there are no slaves, hangmen or oppressors, where faith does not kill, where the one who reigns is God. Farewell to you all, from my soul torn away, friends of my childhood in the home dispossessed. Give thanks that I rest from the wearisome day. Farewell to thee, too, sweet friend that lightened my way, beloved creatures all, farewell. Mi ultimo adios. Poem by Jose Rizal, translated by Charles Derbyshire, 1897.
Now, with this coin, with the lettering on this coin, it's translated to the Republic of the Philippines, Jose Rizal, 1984. On the reverse is a Tomorrow cattle running to the right. The Tomorrow, or Mindoro dwarf buffalo, is endemic to the island of Mindoro in the Philippines. With the lettering 1 peso, Enoma Mindorensis. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. The edge of this coin is smoothed and reeded. Now, a brief history now on the Philippine money. The history of Philippine money covers currency in use before the Hispanic era, with gold, Palanchitos, and other commodities in circulation, as well as the adoption of the peso during the Hispanic era and afterwards. The Philippine peso is ultimately derived from the Spanish peso, or pieces of 8 brought over in large quantities by the Manila galleons of the 16th and 19th centuries. From the same Spanish peso or dollar is derived the various pesos of Latin America, the dollars of the US and Hong Kong, as well as Chinese yen and Chinese yuan. Long before the Spaniards came to the Philippines in 1521, the Philippines has established trade relations with neighboring islands like China, Guava, Borneo, Thailand, and other settlements. Barter was a system of trading commonly practiced throughout the world and adopted by the Philippines. The inconvenience of the barter system led to the adoption of a specific medium of exchange, the cowrie shells. Cowries produced in gold, jade, quartz, and wood became the most common and acceptable form of money through many centuries. The Philippines is naturally rich in gold, making possible the availability of local gold coinage, called Palanchitos. The original silver currency unit was the rupee or rupiah, known locally as salapi, brought over by trade from India or Indonesia. The salapi continued under Spanish rule as a 10 cent, worth 4 reals or half a Spanish peso. Palanchitos are so small, some are the size of a corn kernel, and weigh about 0.9 to 2.65 grams of fine gold. Large Palanchitos weighed almost 1 mace, or 1/10 of a tael. The early Filipinos also traded along with barter rings, which is gold-like ingots. These barter rings were bigger than a donut in size and were made nearly of pure gold. Asserting its independence after the Philippine Declaration of Independence on June 12, 1898, the Philippine Republic under General Emilio Aguinaldo issued its own coins and paper currency backed by the country's natural resources. The coins were the first to use the name centavo for the subdivision of the peso. The island of Panay also issued revolutionary coinage. After Aguinaldo's capture by American forces in the Palanan, Isabela, in March 23, 1899, the revolutionary peso ceased to exist. After the United States took control of the Philippines, the United States Congress passed the Philippine Coinage Act of 1903. They established a unit of currency to be a theoretical gold peso. It wasn't coined. It was consistent of 12.9 grams of gold and 0.9 fine. This unit was equivalent to exactly half the value of the US dollar. Its peg in gold was maintained until the gold content of the US dollar was reduced in 1934. Its peg, the US dollar, was maintained until independence in 1946. When the Philippines became a U.S. Commonwealth in 1935, the coat of arms of the Philippine Commonwealth were adapted and replaced the arms of the U.S. territories on the reverse of the coins, while the obverse remained unchanged. This seal is composed of a much smaller eagle, which is with its wings pointed up, perched over a shield with peaked corners, above a scroll reading Commonwealth of the Philippines. During World War II in the Philippines, the occupying Japanese government issued fiat currency in several denominations. It is known as the Japanese government issued Philippine Fiat Peso. The Second Philippine Republic under Jose P. Laurel outlawed possession of the guerrilla currency and declared a monopoly on the issuance of money, so that anyone found to possess guerrilla notes could be arrested. Some Filipinos called the fiat money Mickey Mouse money. Many survivors of the war told stories of going to the market Latin, with suitcases. They were called bayong, native bags made from woven coconut and beery leaf strips, overflowing with Japanese issued bills. According to one witness, Mickey Mouse pesos, or about $35 US at the time, could buy 1 duck egg. In 1944, a box of matches cost more than 100 Mickey Mouse pesos. The Japanese-sponsored Second Philippine Republic under President P. Jose Laurel outlawed possession of the guerrilla currency and declared a monopoly of the issuance of money. Anyone found who possesses guerrilla notes can be arrested and even executed.
Series names of Philippine coins. The Spanish administration opened Manila Mint in 1857 in order to supply coins for the Philippines, minting silver coins of 10 centimos, 20 centimos, and 50 centimos, and gold coins of 1 peso, 2 pesos and 4 pesos. In 1958, the new English coinage series entirely of base metal was introduced, consisting of bronze 1 centavo, brass 5 centavos and nickel brass 10 centavos, 25 centavos and 50 centavos. The 20 centavo denomination was discontinued. In 1967, the Filipino language coin series was introduced with the peso and centavo renamed into Piso and centimo. It consisted of aluminum 1 centimo, brass 5 centimo, and nickel brass 10, 25 and 50 centimo. The 1 Piso coin was reintroduced in 1972. In 1975, the Ang Bagong Lipunan series was introduced. It consisted of aluminum 1 centimo, brass 5 centimo, copper nickel 10 centimo, 25 centimo and 1 peso, and a pure nickel 5 peso coin which rarely circulated. In 1983, the Flora and Fauna series was introduced. It consisted of aluminum 1-5 and 10 centimo, brass 25 centimo, and copper nickel 50 centimo, 1 peso and a new 2 peso coin. From 1991 to 1994, the sizes of coins from 25 centimo to 2 peso were reduced under the improved Flora and Fauna series, and a new nickel brass 5 peso coin was introduced. In 1995, the new design coin series was introduced with the aim of replacing and demonetizing all previously issued coin series on January 3, 1998. It initially consisted of copper-plated steel 1-5 and 10 centimo, brass 25 centimo, copper nickel 1 peso and nickel brass 5 peso. In 2000, the bimetallic 10 peso coin was added to the series. In 2004, the composition of the 25 centimo and 1 peso was changed to brass-plated steel and nickel-plated steel. The current series, the New Generation Currency series, was introduced in 2017, consisting of nickel-plated steel 1-5, 25 centimo and 1-5 and 10 peso. In December 2019, the bimetallic plated steel 20 peso coin was introduced together with a modified 9-sided 5 peso coin issued in response to numerous complaints that the round steel 5 peso coin looked too much like the 1 peso and 10 peso.